All right, everybody. Well, welcome once again to the RecPoker podcast, episode 169. And we're going to be chatting a little bit about strategy. We're going to talk about some of the programs we have coming up. We have another announcement. Seems like every week we have these great announcements. We have another announcement this week about our first official RecPoker ambassador. So I'll just kind of tease it with that. But I do want to thank Running Aces Racetrack Casino and Hotel, opening March 11th. They are our official sponsor for all things RecPoker. And they have been since the beginning. So props to those guys, as well as Learn Pro Poker and website AMP, who sponsor the podcast. So with me today, this is Steve Fredland. I've got Jim Reed, Rob Washam, John Somsky. That's your honorable panel today. I figured Rob would show up for sure because we got a little gloating that's going to happen a little bit later in the show. And he's not going to gloat, but we'll gloat on his behalf. He says, no. But for those of you who are tuning in because you were expecting Jen Shahade, unfortunately, she needed to reschedule. She's been on the show before, a good friend of the show, but she had some things going on. So she's going to be joining us sometime in May, TBD. We will let you know. So tonight is really nice for us to kind of talk strategy amongst us. And actually, we have a few announcements we want to make as well. So it's going to be a kind of a fun show of just the banter, kind of like what we've done in the past. We haven't done this for a little while where we just kind of banter amongst ourselves. We have some listener questions to include there as well. So why don't we jump in? Unless you guys have something burning that you got to say, we can jump into a couple of listener questions. I'm not seeing any burning going on in the panel. And by the way, so this is the first week that we are opening up the podcast to our members. So if you're a member at rec.poker, you can jump on here. We've got Martha on the line right now. You can jump on here. You can listen in. You can chat. You can ask questions real time while we're doing the recording. And so that's kind of a cool way to engage. So if you're a member, check it out. If you're not a member, go get the free trial. Get the 30 days. Jump on 4 podcasts. See if you like it. Check out the content. All that jazz. But good time. We're hoping to engage more and more of the membership in that way. So here's the first question for the panel. And this comes from somebody you're all very familiar with, Shayan Bhattacharyya. And Shayan was the guy who led our book discussion, Play Optimal Poker. Fantastic job. Did a great job. Great thinker. Pretty new to poker, which surprises a lot of people because his learning curve is like off the hook. But he had one question that he wanted to have the panel discuss. And it's from a few weeks ago. It's an $80 tournament. All right. The blinds are 300, 600, 600. So it's got the big blind ante thing going on at 600. He says, I'm on the button with about 22,000 chips. So what is that, like 35 bigs? Somewhere in there, 35, just under 40 bigs. He's on the button. There's a couple of limpers. And he says, so I limp in with Queen of Hearts and 8 of something else, non-suited Queen 8. The flop comes 3, 6, 8 with 3 hearts. So Cheyenne has the Queen of Hearts. He has top pair with an 8, a Queen kicker, and the Queen of Hearts for the flush draw. He says the small blind, who's an active player, perhaps been drinking too much. He's a player who showed up with pure air before in this tournament. He shoves for his 5,000 chips. So remember, it was limped around at 600. So I assume, I don't know exactly what happened in the blinds, but let's just say there must be 5 people in there with the ante as well. So 3,600 in there. And the small blind shoves for 5,000. So a little bit more than a pot size shove. The big blind, who's a regular tourney player, has 18,000 to start the hand and just calls the 5,000. Everyone else folds around to Cheyenne. What is my action and why? And maybe the first question is, how do we feel about the limp? I know he didn't ask specifically about that, but are we fine kind of the limp behind with Queen 8, 35 bigs in that spot on the button?
How many limpers were in front of him?
2 limpers, I believe, in front of him. Yeah, he says couple of limpers, so I'm going to interpret that to mean 2. And we don't know what positions they're in.
And we don't know their stack sizes.
We don't know their stack sizes either, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a loose play. I don't know that I would do it. But if you're going to be able to see the flop for, just a limp, why not? But then you do get yourself into these types of situations, right?
Right.
Now you have a top pair, lousy kicker, and you're wondering what to do. Now,
Right.
what happened? The guy in the big blind.
Small blind jammed for 5,000. So let's say the pot's like 3,600, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
The small blind shoves 5,000, and then the big blind, who started the hand with 18, so must have around 17,000, just calls the 5,000, and then it comes around to Cheyenne.
Yeah, I think the smart play would probably be just to throw it away.
Really?
Unless,
So he's got top pair queen kicker with the queen of hearts draw.
But top pair 8 kicker.
Oh well, he hit the 8, so he's got the queen kicker. So the flop was the flop was 8-6-3 with all hearts, and he's got queen 8 with the queen of hearts. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
this is Robbie. You're like the guy that we're coming to now because of the weekend that you just had. We're looking for you to put on the wise hand. But you're already saying you probably wouldn't even be in the hand to start with. So
I probably wouldn't even be in the hand to start with. It's just not worth it. It's $80 tournaments. You're going to have a lot of pretty loose play, a lot of limping going on. People trying to catch a flop. You could be against a flush draw, a nut flush draw.
Mm-hmm.
You could be against a made 2 pair already. Somebody's sitting there with 8-6. You could be against a pretty good flush draw, somebody with 4-7. Well, I guess that's our straight draw. That's 4-7. That's a made straight already. 4-7 could definitely be in their range.
Yeah, there's no straights on the board quite yet. It was 8-6-3. Now it was 8-6-3. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's all kinds of draws. There's 2 hearts that are already made flushes. There are some straight draws out there for sure with 9-7, 7-5. There's sets, the 3s, the 6s, maybe even the 8s that limped. There's the nut flush draws or the king high flush draws that are bigger than yours. So there's a lot of stuff that is potentially dangerous to you for sure.
Right. So I think in the moment, had I got to this point, I might just call. Because he had 33,000 or something to start?
22.
Yeah, 22. So only, 22. Yep.
See, for me, I don't mind the limp, but that's with the intention of hitting it fairly hard or getting away if much money goes into the pot. If this had been a normal continuation bet, someone had bet, 3 big blinds into the pot, something like that, then I think you've got a reasonable call because you are either against one player, you're probably either ahead or you have outs to be ahead. One of the two. Either your 8 is good or the queen high heart will make you good. Against 2 players, you might still be good now, but there's a good chance there's the ace of hearts out there, which means your flush draw isn't good. And 5,000 chips is a quarter of your stack at this point.
Yeah.
So almost. So I kind of think I would fold.
That's interesting. Yeah, we're in different camps here for sure. This is kind of an interesting one. I thought, and I'm looking at it. Yeah, I don't like the flat pre-flop either. I'm just not a limper. I might raise there. I might raise that on the button for sure. But as played, I've got top pair. I've got a queen, the 3rd nut flush draw. And I think I've got some fold equity. I don't know what the small blind has, right? I don't know what they have.
It's a backdoor flush though, right?
No, there's 3 hearts on the flush. There's 3 hearts on the flop. Yeah, 8-6-3 with 3 hearts. So I've got the queen high flush draw at that point. I'm loving life, frankly, and this is why it's interesting to see. Like, the small blind, if they are kind of goofy and they shove, yeah, they could have it, but I don't know if it was just that one player. I don't know that I ever fold here. Even though it's it's more than a pot size bet, I just think against that single player, I kind of like my hand. If they've got top pair, they have like an ace 8 or something like that. Odds are I've got the only flush draw. If they only have a flush draw, I probably have the best made hand. Even if they have like 2 small hearts, I've got outs. I just don't hate my hand in the spot. And then the second player comes in and they just flat. Like, can they call my shove? Like, what do they have? What are they just calling with? I guess unless they're like super trapping with like ace 10 of hearts or something. I don't know. I'm kind of you guys are talking me out of it a little bit, but I'm kind of in the camp of I'm going to go with this hand. Like I'm going to go and hopefully I can get that big blind out of there. Or if they call, hopefully they're calling with an inferior hand, after they just called behind. So I'm kind of looking to isolate that small blind and get that dead 5K in there.
Okay, so
yeah.
I think the second caller, to my mind, a large portion of that player's range includes a heart, and a large portion of those hearts would include the ace of hearts. Not the first one, not the shover, but the caller.
But it'd have to be a pretty weak ace, right? The fact that they didn't re-raise pre-flop out of the big blind in a limp spot, right? So
it could be an ace, like ace 6, ace 3. It could be an ace 5 even.
But the 3s and 6 are already out there. I mean, it's got to be like ace deuce, ace 4, ace 5, ace 7, right?
Oh,
I'm not saying 2 pair of hearts. I'm just saying the ace of hearts. Okay, so basically it is. I think there's a good chance if you play with both players that your flush is no good.
If you hit it, but your head.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you push, if you shove at this point, how much money is in the pot?
Yeah, so there's the I guess we figured 36 pre-flop, another 10, so 46. We're shoving 22, so there'd be 68. And assuming they have us covered, we don't know. Oh no, they've got 18. Right. I guess so. They're the effective stack at this point. So yeah, they're only going to call 13 more. Mm-hmm.
Right. So 13 more, and they're getting like 2 to 3 to 1. So they're getting the right price if they are drawing to the ace high flush.
But don't we want that in there? Don't we want to play against ace of hearts, 3 of diamonds or something? I mean, do we not want that call or no?
Not if they're actually getting the right price to do it. I mean, they're making a profitable call, which isn't the best thing for us. If they had a deeper stack, then I think the shove, as you're saying, would become even better because then they're not getting the right price to draw. Mm-hmm. But as it sits right now, they're actually, I think, getting enough equity if they have a naked ace.
If they have that, do you think they're also going to call with like 10-8, Jack 8, Queen 8, King 8 non-suited even, like with top pair?
I don't know. It is an $80 tournament, so that is possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know. Once they flat there, are they going to fold if they have, 8-7, 8-9, 8-10, 8-Jack? They have any kind of a top pair combination. I think that's also part of the range. I do see what you're saying with the ace of hearts. That does make sense to me. That's a great point. We're giving them the right price to call. But I also think there's parts of their range that might call that we're actually ahead of that aren't even drawing to hearts.
Yeah, I might be overemphasizing that portion of their range. That very well could be.
Do we know if this is during the rebuy phase of the tournament or after rebuys? Because that would affect the calling ranges.
For the $80 tournament, I'm not sure which 80 it is because at Running Aces, they don't have an 80, they have a 75. So this might be somewhere else. If it was at Aces, it would be the first level after the registration for the $75 plus tournaments.
Because if it's a rebuy situation, I just can't resist that spot. I think I have to get my chips in somehow. If you call, there's less than a pot size bet behind anyway. So I don't know if there's a better way to get them in, shoving or calling and just planning to get it in. But seems like based on what we know about the small blind and what kind of hands could be in the big blinds range there with those stacks, I don't mind getting it in if it's in a rebuy period. Otherwise, it's a tougher decision maybe.
Yeah, because that's part of my question. Like, okay, let's say if we do just call, and I think there's an argument for just folding there too that we've already heard, but let's just say we do just call, and now they have, now the pot is what it is, and now they have 12,000 chips left, and a pot is whatever it is, 5,100. Like what turn card is coming that we fold to? That's the part. Like if the pot, I think the
pot's 51. Like 15 something, and he only has because
we figured there's what do we figure? There's like 36
5K. He called 15, so there's 18K in the pot, and he's only got 13 back.
Yeah, So, there's going to be 40, whatever that is. Well, whatever. I should have done the math before, but 43,000, whatever that is, when they shove and then we have to call the 13K. What turn card do we fold to? And like a non-heart ace? I'm trying to think like what are we folding to if they shove turn? Once we've called flop. I don't know. I don't know what I'm folding.
Yeah, it feels like
calling.
calling.
The heart I'm never folding.
Feels like calling flop. You're sort of deciding that you're just getting it in, and you would just prefer to do it by calling later rather than shoving or rather than reshoving on the flop. I don't think. Yeah. Can you guys? Can you call there and then get away from it later? Is that ever a good decision with these stack sizes? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you could call and get away from it later if a bad card hits.
like what card would come that and then they shove that you would fold to?
Like an ace. Ace is a good card. If a straight draw came in, that might be a card that you can just say, okay, this guy, the big blind now shoves when the straight card comes in, like a 9 or a 4, something like that.
5 or a 7, yeah. Gives him a lot of 2 pairs too.
Yeah, it's tough because you still have 9 outs. You still got 20% equity on the river for the flush. That's the part.
Okay, if you lose, how much do you got left?
Well, we're not going to lose, but we'd have 6. Well, if we just call that, if we just call
weekend, never lost a hand, Steve. Never lost a hand.
Never. Well, we called the 600 and then went to 5,000. So we put in 5,600. So we've got 16,400. We still have 24 big blinds if we fold after calling the flop.
And that's a reasonable stack to be able to go to battle with.
Yeah, it's reasonable, but I like 60 big blinds more. Turns out, yeah, no. This is where it's good. It's good checks and balances here because I'm kind of like Jim in this spot. I'm kind of like, let's roll.
I'm the net. I probably fold on the flop. Say this isn't a spot I want to get involved in. Why am I going to donate chips to 2 random hands that you have no clue what they're holding? The guy in the big blind could have ace king of hearts right now. You don't even know.
If he limps. In my world,
what kind of player is he?
If I'm in my world, if he limped ace king of hearts there and smashes that flop, like congratulations. Like, I'm just like, one great job. Honestly, like I'm not even worried about that. But you're right. People do wake up with that in these tournaments. Like, oh, it was a 5-way pot near the big blind of the ace king of hearts that you just called. And that's people have every. I'm not trying to rip on the play. I'm saying you can play that however you want. It's just not how I would play it. So then I fall into this trap of thinking people are playing the same way that I play, and that is one of my biggest downfalls.
Right.
Like in this spot right here. Somebody could have like ace 2 of hearts, like that small blind could have ace 2 of hearts and just lead out and shove. And I think, well, they never have the flush here because they would never just shove, and then they do. So I think that is something that I have to figure out.
That's a good reason to shove then, isn't it? Because Steve will never think I have it if I shove. Are you kidding me?
I will look at this. I'm going to hero call you with the 3rd nut flusher on top pair with the queen kicker. Let's go. And I'm going to fist pump getting it in there. And not only am I going to call your shove, I'm going to call over the guy that come behind your shove.
See, what's interesting is generally I tend to be that more aggressive player like you.
Yeah.
But from a psychological point of view, these last couple of months, it feels like I have not been able to win a hand, much less a pot or a tournament. And I don't know if that is, I'm trying not to. That should make no difference. The past performance or past luck has no bearing on what's going to happen in the next hand. However, from a psychological point of view, once you've been snake bitten 12 times in a row, you just kind of anticipate that's going to happen again.
It is true, yeah.
So I don't know if, for me, if that is weighing into my thought process right now. It very well might be.
But what I like about you, so you're aggressive, John. I would consider you an aggressive player, but you do like to take the initiative. And I think what I'm hearing from you, you're also very logical in that, okay, well, I have no fold equity. They're not going away. If I shove, I'm giving them the right price. So I think that's the piece where you really, even though you could shove here, you really don't have the initiative. You're still sort of still responding to other people's initiative. And I think of you more as you like to take the initiative in those actions. And when you're not taking the initiative, you're being responsive to the others. Then you're calculating and saying, well, what are the right things? And that's why I love how you think about this, because I'm thinking, well, yeah, I want the ace of hearts, whatever, to call me. But you're saying, yeah, but they're getting the right price. So why would you want them to call you? And I'm thinking, well, because I'm looking for the big kahuna, man. I'm looking for the 70 big blinds. So,
right. So if I knew for a fact that they had the ace of hearts,
yeah,
and that they were going to make the call, so at this point they're about what, 18? No, about a little under 36% to make the flush by the river.
Yeah.
If we get it all in here.
About 30% because we know we have one of the hearts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess that doesn't make the shove too bad. And maybe where my psychology might be coming in is right now my brain is going like, well, one of them has to have the ace. Instead of looking at, okay, what are realistically, what are their ranges? And is an ace of hearts that big of a range? Now, to me, just looking at the second person who calls behind with 5,000, if he's sitting on something like, let's say he has 2 pair there, I think he's going to shove because he doesn't want you coming along. So the hand that makes the most sense to me is a flush draw. And to call that much off, $5,000 off, it's got to be a strong flush draw.
Yeah, and see, that's where I struggle because that doesn't make sense to me. Like because of how I would play, I'm saying if I was the big blind and I had the ace of hearts flush draw, I reshove. Like I don't flat there.
That's why I think he probably already has the ace high flush. He's flatting so you come along. He's going to get some more money from you, right?
Apparently.
It's a little
starting to look that way.
He's going to be able to double up.
Yeah. Actually,
it's a little.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't
I
you
was going
think
to say with the made flush, that would be a really good play. That's what I would do with the made flush.
Yeah, or a set or something. Yeah, I would do that with a huge hand, or I would do it with something like 10-8 that I could just get away from if I got shoved over. Like that's sort of where I'm at. I don't know. I might still reshove 10-8 or something, but I don't know. That's where I just I get confused on that because if I had the ace high flush draw there in the big blind, I would probably re-rip it to try to isolate right there. I'm not saying that's right, but that is what I would do. So I think, well, that's not what he has.
One of the problems with this spot though is that you don't get the full fold equity because the small blind's already in the hand. So then you're in a spot where you're actually racing against that hand, even in a fold, even when you get the folds that you're looking for.
Right.
So I don't know. I haven't crunched the numbers on this, but I wonder if that affects because I love shoving the ace high flush draw. That's like mother's milk to me. So it would be weird to find a spot where I decided not to do that. But one of the spots I could see that happening would be where there was a side pot that was already locked up, that there was no extra money to be gained by bluffing someone out of the hand. And so you're sort of taking, you only win when you get to realize the equity in that flush draw.
True.
So I don't know if that makes me more likely to shove it or not.
Yeah, there's no extra money there, but I think I don't want that person to realize their equity either. If they have something like 10-9 with the 10 of hearts, so they've got 2 overs, a gut shot, and the 10 of hearts. Like they might call 5,000 there to see a turn card, and then if I shove, I push them off of that. So now I don't have to worry about a 7, a 9, or a 10 rolling off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting spot. So yeah, pretty interesting. I don't know what's in the.
I just fold. I'm up against 2 hands. Let's just fold and wait for a better spot. I want to be in a spot where I was the aggressor to start with.
Yeah.
Well, that's the ideal, right? Well, then
don't limp.
I do like being in position when the really wide bluffy player shoves though.
Yeah, right.
Like I do like being in a spot where I've got top pair in a redraw and the guy that shows up with air is shoved on a flop. Like just anecdotally, that's a good spot to be in too. I don't mind. It's the big blind calling that really puts me off the hand because they think they might actually have the strongest range here.
Yeah, because that small blind shoving, right? They have Jack 3, Jack 6, Jack 8. They might just shove any piece of that thing, which we're just crushing. Well, any final? This is interesting. This is one that we really do kind of have very different perspectives on. But
fold pre, period.
Fold pre, period. Rob says, and we should listen to Rob. I mean, right?
Should we talk about why we should listen to Rob?
Well,
because there's a lot of good reasons.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, everybody, I get these notes week after week, day after day. Like why is Rob on the podcast? Like, why?
Yeah, this what is an old knit. You gotta have an old knit.
Why is St. Nicholas on the podcast? Like, what's the deal with Rob?
You have to have an old knit, right? I mean, come on.
And I always say, I'm from Minnesota, so if I actually say that, I didn't mean it. So if anybody's worried that I don't like Rob, please know that's not true. No, Rob, I think Rob brings so much insight or whatever. But no, here's the reason. So Rob had a fantastic weekend. So let's segue a little bit. We had another question. We'll wait on that one because that first one took a while, which is great. I love the conversation. But so I guess 2 days ago when we're recording this, we had RecPoker Day at Running Aces. And it was so much fun. And we could talk about that all day about how much fun it was. We had a ton of people show up for breakfast. Just knocked my socks off. How many people showed up, how many RecPoker sweatshirts, the vibe, everybody ordering breakfast, having a great time. Like at 8 a.m. Like what poker players are getting up at 8 a.m. or before that to get there?
Serious recreational players, Steve. That's who. Serious, thoughtful, recreational players.
There was a ton of people from our home game also.
Yeah.
Almost every one of them were, so now I'm putting faces to the names on the home game. And even I was sitting at one table and one of the dealers, William, I think his name was. His screen name on PokerStars is I Hate to Lose.
Oh, is that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I see that guy all the time.
A dealer. He was a dealer.
I didn't know that.
And we were talking because, he saw my shirt and my, my bounty thing. And so we started talking. He says, oh, yeah, I play that home game. My screen name is I Hate to Lose.
Because I always see that guy out there. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Who is I Hate to Lose?
Yeah, he's William,
that's
dealer
fun.
at Running Aces. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is super fun. Like Pat Barry. I got to meet Pat Barry. Like, I was wondering, who is this guy? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he'd play every single home game, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's always at my table and taking my chips too. Thanks, Pat. But no, I mean, so that was super fun, right? Yeah, so you meet all these people, and Mark Pershawn, who's a big part of the RecPoker community and becoming a bigger part. He's working on our website. He actually came up from Texas for RecPoker Day. Like, that's why he came up, and it was so great to meet him in person. But just all kinds of people were there, and it was so much fun. And I thought the vibe was just really cool. And then we go on, like, I'm going to take all the credit for it. I think RecPoker is going to take all the credit for this, even though we can't officially. But Running Aces broke their records for the 10 a.m. tournament. It had like 187 people.
Yep. And
then the Optimum, which is a $300 buy-in, had like 219 entries. Like both of those were records, and we're going to take credit for it. But
we're definitely taking credit for that.
but we did have a piece of it. I know for sure that 10 a.m. tournament, there's a bunch of people that don't normally play in the casinos that were playing. But to kind of get to the point of how it was a blast, whatever. But so Rob Washam goes out there and he takes that 187 person field and whittles it down to 3. Right, you did a 3-way chop on that baby.
Three-way chop. Yep.
That was super fun. And then, not to be outdone, he decides to go play the Optimum. So this is where the big hitters, right? This is with some of the best players in the state. I was playing with a number of them throughout the course of this time. And Rob goes ahead and final tables that sucker too. So you were there from what time did you get there in the morning to help with everything?
About 7:45
Yep.
when I arrived, and I got busted out in 10th of the Optimum at about 2:15 in the morning.
Oh my God.
And you live like 45 minutes away from there, right?
Yeah.
So it was like a 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. day for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was so fun though to be there and say, "Oh, Rob's still in. It was so much fun, right? More fun for you.
I feel so sorry for you, Rob, for having to go through such a long and grueling day.
I know.
I don't know how you did it.
I know.
I feel so bad.
What time were you home, John?
What time did you get home, John?
Yeah, I was home a little earlier than that. I decided after I busted my second bullet on the Optimum that, I just couldn't hang around anymore.
You should have spent more time worshiping at the altar of St. Oswald, Rob? Rob knew how to lay the bait for February 29th.
That's right.
And here at RecPoker, we kind of declared it a St. Washam's Day, which
St. Washam's Day.
Well, one of our folks on Discord, a young man that I've gotten to know pretty well over the last few months, Swami, had kind of put out there. He said, "Well, congrats, Rob. Great runs, great job, all that." And his question was, were there any players that you played with both tournaments?
That I played with, yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the guy I chopped with, one of the guys I chopped with, played in the Optimum, and I was at his table most of the night. And actually, we were at the same table for the first table we were at. So for many hours, I played with him again. And then we got to another table, and we're down to the bubble. 28 players left. We were hand for hand. And we had a limped pot, or no, somebody raised. I think it was he raised, and he was kind of loose. He'd raise really light, and he face card basically. And I was sitting there with ace king, so I just limped along. I mean, I just called the raise, and somebody else called the raise. And the flop came ace queen 6 or something like that, and the guy goes all in. So I call, and the other guy calls. I have ace king, and so I'm thinking I'm in pretty good shape. And the other guy who called had 2 clubs. And there was 2 clubs on the board, so he had the flush draw. And we just checked it down from there, and the ace king held up.
Sweet.
And we broke the bubble.
Which you made me some money for that, by the way.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. And because I hadn't given away my bounty yet.
Yes.
Because I've been playing all night, and I had this bounty in front of me the whole time.
And from the morning tournament, you never gave that one away either, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, I never. Yeah. So I gave it to Joe. I said, "Here, Joe, take this bounty. Sorry, I busted you. Blah blah blah," and that was it. So.
You can have a $10 prize instead of the $500 for the min cash.
Right. He got a hat.
Hey, that's something though. That is pretty sweet. No, that was super awesome. That was, I mean, not for Joe, but kind of fun that you. Right. I mean, obviously he ran deep again as well. Yes. No, that was super fun. So, were there any do you look at playing those 2 tournaments, because they are very different tournaments? Obviously, one is $40, you get 10,000 chips, and it's like 12-minute levels. Right. And then the Optimum is $300. It's half-hour levels, and you get 20,000 starting chips. Do you actually strategically approach those differently, or is it just, well, the situation is this? I've got 30 big blinds, and whatever. Or do you actually adjust some things accordingly?
Slightly, I think. I was a little more eager to potentially rebuy in the $40 one than I was in the Optimum.
Yeah, right.
So, but I think there's a little bit of difference. For one thing, you'll notice in the Optimum, you didn't see a lot of the limping that you saw in the $40 tournament. Because I was, sitting at the table and 5 people limp, and you go, wow, and I'm folding my, pocket 3s because
your queen 8 offsuit.
Yeah, my queen 8 offsuit especially. So, I just, you just notice it a lot more in the Optimum. People were playing more optimal poker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
optimal at the Optimum.
Right. More 3-betting.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure.
Really, there wasn't a lot of 3-betting.
Okay.
There was not a lot of 3-betting. I mean, I did, the only time I did is when I had, a monster hand. I probably could have got away with it a lot more. Yeah. But I never had to really. But
so did you have a pretty good table draw through the Optimum? I mean, there were some of Minnesota's finest players there, throughout the room. Did you have a pretty tough draw, or did you feel pretty good about your draw?
The first table I was at, it felt pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a guy sitting to my left who I play with at Grand Casino Mille Lacs all the time.
Yep.
So I mean, I recognized him right away. He's, what are you doing? How's it going? So, we didn't play against each other at all because I think we know each other pretty well. Okay. So yeah. I never recall getting involved in any hands with him. But there was some other people that were just in there splashing it around. Okay. At the Optimum, there was one hand. There was a young kid, and he was, he was a young gun. He's going to get in there and mix it up as much as he can. And he came in for a raise from the cutoff. The big blind called. I'm in the small blind, and I got pocket aces. So I raised it up like 4.5, times his original raise, thinking, well, I'm just going to blow these guys off the hand. They're both going to fold, and that's fine. Well, they both called. Going, ooh, wow.
The cutoff in the button? The cutoff in the button? Or which two positions?
Cutoff in the button both
Okay.
called. The big blind folded. Cutoff in
Okay.
the button both called. I'm going, wow. What? I didn't expect that, right? So the flop came ace, 7, 8, rainbow.
Bing.
So I'm saying, well, I think I might be good here.
I might be ahead.
I got the nuts, so I must be good.
Yeah.
And so I just checked it off, and the kid, he only had like probably 25 big blinds to start the hand. So he jammed, and I was hoping the button would call, but he didn't. He folded.
Did you tank call?
I did not tank call. I did not slow roll the guy. I just said call, threw a chip in and call, and that's when my ace was over. And of course they held up.
Yeah, I assume he just thought you had, maybe pocket jacks and were afraid of the ace or whatever.
Right. I might have had king queen for that matter. Pocket jacks, like you say, pocket queens.
Right.
He had pocket tens as it turned out.
Oh, so he did have a hand. Okay.
He had a hand, yeah.
Well, that's an interesting shove then. Okay.
Yeah, I would thought it was pretty loose, but I think that's just the way he plays. He's just going to get it in there and see if he can make it happen, and it didn't. So.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, great job. So, any John, Jim, anything else from any other questions for Rob there? Any other strategy things? We're going to move on from strategy, but anything that's been kind of bugging you or follow up from any of the conversations that we've had before that we want to clear the air on here?
I want to warn people.
Oh, should we have your music here?
No, make sure you continually keep focused on what's going on. By the end of the night, I was totally on autopilot.
Yeah. I
was not thinking through my decisions. I made a couple of good plays against a couple of good players before we got to the final table. We were down to 2 players or 2 tables. But when we got to the final table, I made a huge mistake. Absolutely ICM suicide. So it really, on my way home, I'm thinking, oh, that was a cooler, but it wasn't a cooler. I could have easily got away from there and still had tons of ICM. And there was 2 players that still would have had fewer chips than me.
Yeah.
So there was 2 smaller stacks than me, and I go up against a medium stack, and it was absolutely, I could have easily got out of that situation and stayed in the tournament. I think I had, at that moment in time, my ICM was about $3,800.
Yeah.
And had I folded instead of jammed, which is what I did, I would have still had a $2,700 ICM, which was better than the other 2 players.
Yep.
So I did an ICM suicide at the end, and I think it was because I was so damn tired.
Yeah.
I'm not used to playing that long. I usually go into a tournament and I'm out in the first hour so I can go home and rest.
No, I think that's a real thing. I had one of those moments myself where I was playing my game and, I just did not have the stack size to open the hand that I opened. And it wasn't just because I lost the hand. It was like, it just was a bad situation. I'm like, why did I do that? I think I was either bored or I was tired or something, but I had lost a little focus. Like you said, it was a long day. We were there early to set up. We were all day. We were running. We're talking to people. We're scrambling. I mean, you ran deep. So I do think that is a real thing to be like, how do we stay focused after a long, tired day when that's when the money's on the line too, right? That's when it's the most important to be as laser focused as possible.
I probably gave up $2,000 at least. Because there was another guy at my table that was really short, and he went out 9th. I saw when I looked at the results. I could have outlasted him probably. There's another couple $100 there, and another guy that was even a short that he went out 8th, and I probably could have outlasted him, which would have put me into the $1,000, $1,200 range.
Right.
So I lost at least 500 easily, if not more.
It's tough though, right? Because it's 500 that you could have just folded your way to, but it's also, it was 15,000 to win the thing.
Right.
So, that's where you want to look at it and say, well, yeah, but was I taking a spot that actually, if I win, it actually puts me in relevancy for the big money. But you know that, if it's a legitimate spot or not.
But there was only one hand that this guy could have had. And it was a hand that it was the nuts.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So I jammed into the nuts. So it's like
favorite thing to do.
I had top 2 pair and I jammed into the nuts.
That's pretty tough. Final table, top 2 pair. But
I wasn't even thinking it's a monotone board.
Yeah.
I had ace queen. It was ace queen 9 of clubs. And I see bet and he raises me. What has he got? At that moment in time, with the ICM considerations, what does he have? There's nothing else that he could
I don't know, man. He could have king queen with the king of clubs. Come on, man. There's got to be hands you're ahead of there, right?
No. There was no hand.
No, Steve. No, you idiot.
No hand. There's no way.
All right. Yeah, you would know. I mean, obviously, you know the whole situation and the player type and all that sort of stuff too. But I can bend toward what can I beat a little bit more than the monsters under the bed of what can I lose to.
Yeah.
John, what were you going to say there?
I don't remember anymore, but it was not anything of value. It's just some snarky comment I come up with.
Toward me or toward Rob? Because if it's toward me, I'm assuming you could have remembered.
Yeah, it was towards Rob, but it's so unnatural to make fun of Rob that it fades away easily.
Yeah, it's like picking on your grandpa. I saw Rob. He's on mute, so I thought I could get away with it. Hopefully he left the yes. He's not responding, so that means he didn't hear that, and he'll hear it when he re-listens to it. Yes, score.
Oh man, I spent half this podcast on mute, just laughing in the background. This is.
That's funny. All right, well let's move on. So good stuff, good strategy stuff. We were going to do a little recap on RecPoker Day. So I think we've talked about that already. I know some of you have asked, how did it go? How did it go? We've been putting it out there, but the bottom line is it was great. We're going to want to do it again. Running Aces loved it. I think there's maybe 15 or 20 new player cards that were issued, which is, a casino's dream that we could bring in players. I know there were couples that came in. I know Chris brought in a friend of his who had never played in the casino, just all kinds of really cool stuff. And one of the highlights of that day was the play and learn from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Matt Hamilton came in, but a bunch of us were dealing or involved in the play and learn. I know we talk about this a lot in the podcast, but if you've never done it, do it. Get your buddies, talk to us. We can facilitate it. But this idea of everybody just simulating a spot in a tournament, playing hands, flipping over your hands, and then just talking about it. It was super fun. And I think the people that had never done that before were like, wow, that was really cool. I put something out on Discord. Anybody be interested in this again? Yes. So a lot of interest, a lot of cool stuff. And part of that, I think, and you guys have been a part of these too, but like part of it is just the community building that comes. It's not just the learning. Now you're combining learning with community, and that's honestly the core of who we are and what we're all about. But just another shout out to Running Aces. Obviously, they were the host for it, but they ponied up 2 $50 tournament lammers. They ponied up like a dozen hats. They went above and beyond what they needed to do to help make this successful. And so hats off and thanks to those guys for doing that. All right, guys. Well, let's break in here a little bit. I want to play some of the audio from RecPoker Day. Had a chance to bring the podcasting equipment there. They filled up with cash tables pretty quick, so we weren't able to be set up for a long time. But I did grab 3 interviews with some folks. We talked for quite a while, but we just wanted to give you a flavor for some of that conversation. So we won't really play all of it. We'll just play little clips, and then we'll kind of hang on to some of the audio to maybe use at a future date. But here's the conversations that I had on RecPoker Day. This thing, why don't you introduce yourself? Who the heck are you, and why are you here?
I'm Andrew Feist. I'm here because I love poker, and RecPoker has been a big part of my experience here in the last 6-8 months here. So just here to have fun.
All right. So what got you first interested in poker? What was?
I've always been interested in poker since like 16, 17 years old. A bunch of buddies and I would always play constantly. We'd play a couple times a week. We were degenerates where we'd play during the week, and we were in high school. Haven't really played much until about a year ago. I started playing a little more, and then I found your podcast with RecPoker here, and since then I've been nonstop for the last 6 to 8 months here. It's been a lot of fun though, so don't know. I just like the challenge and trying to figure out other people, and that's how I like it.
Well, it's been fun having you on. Obviously, been fun having you be part of this thing too.
Yeah.
All right, so now if you could meet and hang out, have dinner, whatever, with any poker player, living or dead.
You excluded?
Me? Yeah, I hope so. I hope I'm not in the conversation. Who stands out as somebody you'd love to hang out
I've always been a huge fan of Negreanu. I was part of the interview a little bit. That was a lot of fun. That was great. He's an amazing, just personality. But with Doyle Brunson, because when I was first getting into poker with my buddies and stuff, we always were watching World Series and paying attention to that kind of stuff. And when we had WPT and he was on there a few times, I mean, he's just the Texas Dolly. He's amazing. You know, it'd be crazy to pick his brain on so many different things. And as long as he's been playing, he was there when they first started everything. So that would be one of probably my all-time greats.
All right. Well, why don't you first just introduce yourself and tell us why you're here today?
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm a pokerholic. No, I'm here.
I thought it was safe to take a sip of soccer.
I'm here because I love playing, and I love hanging out and talking to people who also love it. And it's a community, so I like to be part of that.
Yeah, well, you've been a part of it. I appreciate all your feedback and comments and everything. It's fun to have you engaged out there. I know you put some posts out on the Facebook group. And all right, so how did you first get interested in poker? What's your poker starting story?
Well, I started when I was a little kid playing with other kids in the neighborhood for pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, playing like 7-card no peek and stuff like that. And I had no clue I just thought it was fun just to hang out with people. And flash forward to right before Moneymaker, and they started airing on ESPN. They were airing poker like on Saturday afternoons. They were showing old poker World Series events, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching someone play poker. This is the silliest thing I've ever been a part of. And then coincidentally, there was a bar in my neighborhood that had a banner saying Texas Hold'em tournament starting next weekend. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go and play, and I ended up winning the tournament, not really knowing what I was doing. And I knew what a small blind and a big blind was, and that was about it. And I had so much fun. I kept playing. I started playing the circuit of bar poker, and then I met people that were having home games. So I started having home games. I started hosting home games. Then Poker League we started. And then I started going to casinos and playing. And then 5 years ago, I went to the World Series for my first time. And so I kind of started at the very bottom and worked my way up and enjoyed it the whole time.
Have you gone every year since then to the World Series?
Yeah, this year coming up will be the 5th in a row.
Do you remember the initial experience of going and what your reaction was to that?
Yeah, completely flabbergasted.
All right, so last question is kind of any poker player, alive or dead, you have an opportunity to hang out with for an hour or two, like.
Well, probably if I was just going to play heads up, I would have to play against Phil Ivey, just because that's a lot of poker players would probably answer it that way, but just because arguably he's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would be very fun to hang out with necessarily. Right. But I'd probably say Daniel Negreanu, just because seems like a very intelligent, down-to-earth guy. I got a picture of him once. I never really hung out with him, but he seems like someone I would have fun going out to dinner.
Yeah. All right. Sweet, dude. Well, anything else you want to share? Or?
No, just keep up the good work, Steve. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Yeah.
My name is Troy Graffentine. I been playing quite a while, but I came here to play in the RecPoker tournament because I am a member of the community, and I thought I'd come out and support. And as a recreational player who's been playing pretty seriously as a recreational player for 15 years or whatever, I just decided this is a good group of guys to as I debate a little bit online and stuff like that with y'all, so I decided to come out and let's do it.
So how did you originally get into poker? Like, do you have a big story? Or
well,
sort of
it's not really a big story, but it's kind of a little bit funny. I mean, when the whole poker boom happened, I'm one of them, 03 or whatever, Moneymaker wins, but I'm watching it on TV thinking, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. And then I don't remember if it was a birthday or a Christmas. It was Christmas, so it was a stocking stuffer. And my wife had gotten me this stupid little handheld WPT poker game.
Video game.
And I crushed it. I mean, I played that thing for, I'm telling you, for 1,000 hours, I don't know, whatever, just a lot until I owned the whole damn thing. So then I decided to put some money in online poker, and it just kind of went from there. And then I got lucky. I got lucky on my first, the whole story. Your first $50. Oh my God.
Right.
And maybe it was my second or third $50. Who knows? But one Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting around on my laptop, and I had advanced to 2 tables. Now I'm playing 2 tables, and by the way, at that time I was clueless.
Yeah.
I was clueless, and I'm playing one of the.
Did you know you were clueless? Or
No. I thought I was the greatest. I thought I was the greatest, but I'm completely clueless.
Because you could crush the handheld game. So.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All that AI back in 04 or whatever the AI is at that point.
Right. So what? Any player that you can choose, alive or dead, that you could spend a couple hours with dinner or whatever. So not necessarily playing, but just who you want to hang out with. Like what? Well, who's your player?
Actually, my favorite, and I thought about this. The guy I believe is the best multi-table tournament player in the world is John Apestyles Van.
Oh, really?
Van Fleet.
Okay.
And he doesn't have the name like a lot of the big names, but I mean that's, to me, his game is the best.
Okay, so hanging out with him would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, because I would bug the hell out of him. I would pick his brain until he's sick of me.
Until the 2 hours was up.
He'd probably only want 10 minutes with me, but
Hey.
My biggest message is in one thing I've learned through studying poker for 15 years is that what is right today is probably not right tomorrow. When I say right, I'm holding up the quote right. The game constantly evolves, and I used to be animate about this particular play and argue with my former online poker buddies who have all of them have moved on, but we used to argue, no, this is how you have to do it, this is what everybody, the mass says, blah 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 blah, and you know what?
Yeah.
Don't be that way, because in poker, it's gonna change.
So just be open to change, and recognize when it's happening.
Oh, for sure.
Well, sweet, man. Well, thanks for jumping on here.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. A couple of other announcements. So we're kind of moving into the announcements and discussion phase of the podcast. So for those of you who are just looking for content, you can check out. But I warn you, there's some pretty cool stuff that's coming up. So because our guest Jen deferred, we thought, well, we have a little opportunity here to talk about some of the products that we're releasing, but some of the really cool things that are happening out here in RecPoker world. That we've been diligently working on behind the scenes, and now they're just starting to creep out. They're just starting to emerge. You're starting to see the head poke from around the corner, some of the things that we're doing. But the big announcement, I would say, for this week, I mean, every week we'll have some big announcements, it seems like, is that we have officially created our RecPoker Ambassador Program, which means we're looking for folks in different geographies that are saying, you know what, I love what RecPoker is. I love the brand. I would love to bring more of this learning by community into the area that I live or work or whatever, and just sort of be the hands and the feet and the eyes and the ears on the ground in a certain geography, and partner with this RecPoker crew and saying, like, how do we equip you to kind of bring this into your community and help people build these relationships and learn the game. And so we've just we're just in the process of unveiling this program, but we weren't even able to finish it. We weren't even able to unveil it until we had a couple of people approach us, say, is there any way that I could be an ambassador for you? I'm sorry, what? Yes, let's figure that out. And so Josh Schwartz, you've heard the name on the podcast a few times over the last few months. He's on Twitter at FPN Colorado. And Jim and I have had a few just tremendous conversations with him. And he has agreed to take on or he's volunteered, or we've given him, or whatever it is. He is now going to be our RecPoker ambassador to Colorado, to the state of Colorado. So he is going to help that state incorporate some of the things that we're doing. We're not replacing stuff that's being done there. We're supplementing it, and we're giving the tools that are needed to help people learn the game better, but also connect with other people who want to learn the game and kind of do it in the community. And so we're just really excited about Josh and what he's already doing in Colorado. He's in the Denver area, but he's willing to kind of look around and help out throughout the entire state. So super excited about that. I don't know, Jim, if you have something to add there, feel free. Otherwise, you can kind of segue into some of the specific products that we're ramping out.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed chatting with Josh, and he's got a great passion for bringing our attitude about being respectful for other people and enjoying the game of poker and being a thoughtful student of the game. And we think that you don't have to play big stakes to be a serious, thoughtful recreational player. So whether you're playing in bar leagues or home games for nickels and pennies, if you take the game seriously, it's just such a rewarding pursuit. And Josh, that's very clear to Josh. And so it's great to have him on board representing us in Denver and Colorado. And so we'll be probably promoting some stuff that he's going to be putting on out there, some live events, some of those play and learns that we've talked about, coordinating with existing bar leagues and home games there. And also sort of helping us get the word out about some of our other offerings, like our personal coaching that we're just sort of unveiling right now. We're in an unveiling phase, as Steve doesn't need to say. It's been pretty exciting over here behind the scenes, a real flurry of activity. But one of the things that we're really excited about is we do have some personal coaching opportunities where we've lined up with a range of excellent poker players, from Ryan LaPlante's level all the way down. Even just our group here on the panel, we have an offering where you can record video of yourself playing online, or to submit video of other people playing, or of televised hands, that kind of thing. And we can get the panel here, or a professional coach or Ryan LaPlante to go over and analyze the play and make some comments about what we might do differently, or things that we like or don't like. But as we say, there is also actual one-on-one coaching. You can find all that at rec.poker/coaching. And then, as I say, we also have these home games and bar league supplements that we're sort of working with here, where if there's a home game or a bar league that already exists that wants to affiliate with us and get some guidance on structure, we can set up a web page in your name that makes it easier to track certain things. We've got some fun programs that John Somsky has been talking about that we'll continue unveiling over the next little while. But we want to add a lot of value to those kind of games. We'll be having shout outs on the podcast for people that win the weekly or monthly tournaments. We're going to have invitations to our own quarterly RecPoker Tournament of Champions, where if you win one of your home game or bar league games, and if you submit your email to our program through your league head there, then we'll get you an invitation to the Tournament of Champions. The final table, we'll all get their names referenced on the podcast, and we want to maybe have the winner come on each quarter and do a little interview talking about their experience in the home games and the bar leagues and why they love poker and that kind of thing. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be everything from pins and dealer buttons to championship tournaments and a lot of ways just to talk to us about your game and ways that we can help you run it, get more people there, and just have more fun learning poker.
Yeah, no, super excited about it. It's the heartbeat of RecPoker is the home games and the bar leagues. So if you're out there and you run a home game or know somebody who does, if you run a bar league or know somebody who does, and you want to connect with us, if you can't find the information on Rec.Poker, just let us know, and we'll have that conversation with you. We're going to do a deal where the first, several people to sign up get quite a discount on whatever it is, but it's all going to be really cheap. It's just really a way to connect people to other people and start to recognize the impact and the influence of home games and bar leagues in the overall poker community. So really excited about it. Yeah. Okay. So good stuff there. Good stuff happening. And we could do all kinds of announcements for hours and hours. But if you ever want to just talk about poker and strategy, talk to us. We love it. I can't get enough of it. I mean, everybody here is like smiling. We're just giving announcements and we're happy about it.
You should see us. We get to the end of one of these and we just want to go do another one immediately. Let's talk about poker more. Come on, guys.
I still remember the time we did the MSPT one. We did like an MSPT final table where we talked about it for 4 hours or some ridiculous thing. The whole final table, we recorded our thoughts. That's part of a membership thing. If you're a member, you get all that access. And like at the end of it, I think it was John's like, okay, let's do the next one. Like it was so much fun. So let's shift gears a little bit. Running Aces every week as our sponsor, we do their Players of the Week. And so this week, for the week of February 24th, David Crambert, Tom Gabler, Brandon Kelsenberg, Fly Eagles Fly, and Kevin Conlin. So congratulations to you guys for picking up some Running Aces Lammers and our Binks. So again, if you want to throw out there on Discord that you won a tournament, got a picture of yourself, whatever, put that out there. We like to promote those things. Steve Olson, the Survive and Thrive, turned $75 into 600. Woody Adams out there in southeastern PA takes down the World Tavern Poker free roll.
Go get him, Woody.
All right, Woody, way to go, man. Rob Washam, somebody named Rob Washam. The Binks were just because of Rec Poker Day, right? I mean, the three-way chop, he turns $40 into 1110. Then he goes ahead and final tables the optimum. Excuse me. Talking about Rob chokes me up. And he took another $740 out of the optimum for that deal. And it was super fun. I mean, a few of us ran deep, but like the final table of that $40 tournament was Rob. Andy Kaplan was there. I think he finished fourth. He's a Rec Poker guy. John Bachhuber, who I'm used to work with, is getting engaged in the Rec Poker community. And so it was really fun to see a lot of the Rec Poker folks kind of all over those final tables and running deep. And then hats off to Andrew Feist. He's a part of our Rec Poker Nation, a Running Aces guy. Binks a $690 victory in one of his online tournaments. So congrats to all of you guys. Jim, why don't you take us home, man, with some other stuff that's coming up? I'm
well,
coughing,
it's exciting.
So I have to put myself on mute.
Yeah, that's right. Get out of here, Steve. So we had our first membership Q&A discussion at the end of the month there. We're trying to get into this routine of every month. We start the month sending off for our membership program, we send out a seminar that's themed on certain strategy concepts that month. And in the second week, we have a study session where we get together and we do a bit of a hand history and we look at some concepts from the seminar and see how we might apply them in real time. And then on the fourth Wednesday of the month, we have our membership Q&A to sort of just get together with the membership. We can talk about things in the seminar or in the study session or just about anything to do with poker. This month, we had a few members join us, which was great. We talked about limping ranges and some things to do with in position versus out of position factors. We talked about heads up play versus blind play and how that might affect your limping range in the small blind. We had a great chat with Jamel, who we were talking about maybe getting a trip up to Playground Poker Club sometime. And then I was just this evening, I was at the barn where my wife teaches horseback riding. And my buddy Chris from the barn comes over and says, we got to get ourselves over to Playground Poker and get in this tournament schedule. So Jamel, Chris, let's see if we can get some dates together and get a road trip over there, because that sounds like a lot of fun. Another one of these things just came up in conversation in one of our membership chats, and now we're going to get a bunch of guys in a van and drive out to Montreal and have a great weekend. So you just never know what's going to happen in those. Next month, in fact, we're releasing tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. By the time you hear this, it'll be live. The March seminar, which is all about player types and hand ranging. And we've got a lot of good concepts in work in that as well. So I can't wait to see some folks in the 4th Wednesday of March to have a little Q&A and chat and talk about some of those concepts.
And of course, we can't forget that we have the home game coming up. That's going to be on the 4th here. That it's our No Limit Hold'em game. And then the 11th of this month, we're playing 5-card draw. That's the game that you used to see on all of the television shows. That's what they played on The Odd Couple and things like that. So we're going to actually play that on the 11th this month.
You didn't mention Maverick.
Oh, yeah. Maverick's another one. Well, although that was sometimes they did stud there as well on Maverick. But anyway.
How about Deadwood? They always play
Maverick?
5-card draw on Deadwood.
I never saw that show.
Great show.
What's Maverick?
That was pretty good. The first season.
Is that
That's Maverick.
Is that an old person show or what is that?
Deadwood?
Not old enough, I guess.
Like somebody like me looks like dead wood.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
Yeah.
We better not go further. We'll have to edit that sucker.
Yeah. And there is a video tutorial if you're not familiar with 5-card draw. You can take a look at that. There's a link to it from the RecPoker home games page. So take a look at that, and you can learn everything you need to know to become an expert in just 10 minutes or less.
And if you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, it is tomorrow night that tournament is being held. So go to PokerStars go to rec.poker and find the link to get over to PokerStars and make sure that you get an invitation to John Somsky to approve you for membership in the club, because then you're going to need to log in and get some free play money chips from the cashier. And if you start doing all that stuff at half an hour before the tournament, you'll never make it in time to actually get sat by the time the cards are in the air. So it's Tuesday today. Go get that link. Talk to John Somsky. Get yourself approved. Get some extra chips. If you're playing from Canada, Chris, I'm talking to you right now. Chris, my barn friend from Canada. You got to join up on Tuesday, get those chips, come down and beat Steve Fredlin so that he has to go down in Vegas and sing the national anthem. Because we're going to mention that every podcast between now and then until we find out one way or the other if it's still in the works. Canadians, come out and join. Get that invitation in early. Don't let the moment pass.
Well, we already put the filter on the YouTube video, the training video that John put together. There's a filter on there that only allows Americans to watch the tutorial. So.
It's geo-blocked north of the 49.
That's right. But John, thanks for doing that. I mean, John Dunn does a lot of work behind the scenes there with that too. I mean, you see all the public stuff, but then he's giving us the league points. He's keeping track of the standings. All of those standings and stuff is out there on the website too. So it's a super fun way to do it. I think it's really cool, John, what you're doing there.
Yep. I hope everyone enjoys it.
And yeah, like Jim said too, John and I is usually what John and I are doing at 5 minutes to 8 o'clock on Wednesday is answering texts and Discord messages and for everybody saying, how do I get access? It's really going to be hard to do that tight. So really please do as Jim says and do if you want to play it, don't be a poker player, do it a day in advance, get it set up and get it done. Then we can troubleshoot anything we have to do before then. One more thing that I wanted to mention, kind of once a month, we'll do this where we acknowledge our new members. So we have Rec.Poker. We have a membership site. Jim's already talked about the content a bit. $10 a month or $100 a year gets you all the content, all the historical stuff, all the access to the additional discussions we do. We think it's a great value. It's as cheap as we can possibly do it. It's a loss most of the time, but it's fun anyway. Do that. But if you are a member, we just want to thank you for that. And we had 6 new members join us in February. So we got Peter Whitman. He's down in Brisbane, Australia, and Peter and I have exchanged some messages. Got a real heart for poker. Appreciate him. Josh Schwartz, who we already mentioned, he's actually in Littleton, Colorado. And then we got 4 more Minnesotans jumping on board. The great Roger Lamp. We got Ben Gers, Pat Berry, and Alan Baker. So thanks to all of you guys for the support. And obviously, hopefully, you're going to get a lot of value out of your membership there as well. And just another reminder, a ton of you, we've been overwhelmed with how many people have signed up to do the Learn Pro Poker free program. If you don't know where to find that, look on our website, rec.poker, or on Twitter, Facebook, or email us. We'll send you the affiliate link that we have, and you can actually get 10 free lessons from Ryan LaPlante. You don't even need to enter your credit card information. They're just free. And so we've had a ton of people take advantage of that. If you don't know where to find that, let us know, and we'll send you that link as well. Jim, how can folks get a hold of us if they don't already know?
Well, the easiest way is to go to rec.poker. We've got a lot of ways there where you can get in touch. Another great way is to reach out to Steve at RecPoker on Twitter. We've got a very active Discord channel where we talk about all sorts of things from poker strategy to celebrating our wins and binks together to talking about poker lifestyle, planning trips to tournaments, really all sorts of great things there. So take advantage of that. And if you do go to rec.poker, you should sign up for This Week in Rec Poker, TWRP. It's our weekly newsletter, and we send that out every week with updates, links to the specific events that are available that week, and also links to the previous things that have been recorded, so you can take a look at that. So, mamma mia, there's a lot of good ways to get in touch with us, but rec.poker is where to start, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. And then next week, we're going to have the great Bernard Lee on the show. Bernard was gracious enough to have me on for a little bit of his show. We're going to do a full interview with him. He is part of the Card Player Lifestyle network of podcasts that we have recently joined, along with the Top Pair Home Game and the Bernard Lee Show. So we're going to have him on to talk about that, talk about some strategy, talk about some of his connections. I know he's got a lot of stuff going on in the poker world, so that's going to be a great conversation. And if you want to support us, obviously the membership thing is great. We do have a Patreon as well. Just go out there, Patreon, go to RecPoker out there. If you want a sweatshirt or a hat, let us know. We got some of that merch. We got pictures of them out online there as well. You can like us, rate us, review us. Those things are huge. If you're like, how can I support RecPoker, but I can't do it financially? Find out places where you can like us, rate us, review us. iTunes is obviously a phenomenal place to do that. We love reading the reviews. We love getting the ratings. Do that stuff. And then just let other people know what we got going. There's obviously, we talked about the pay stuff, the membership site, but there's a ton of stuff that we have going on for absolutely free, including the podcast, the home games, the Discord channel, the Facebook group, all kinds of ways you can plug in just sort of as our gift to you as part of the poker community. So check those things out. We're going to sign off there. Thanks, as always, Running Aces Racetrack, Casino, and now Hotel, as well as Learn Pro Poker and website AMP. And with that, we will chat with you guys all next week. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night.